Video, we are going to learn about the metallography. So before starting the metallography, I would like to tell you that we have here so many times the structure word related to the material, that is material structure or crystal structure. In previous some videos we have seen the various types of crystal structure and lattice and all. So what to mean by metallography is very important term regarding that, and for studying or for identifying the structure of the material, this metallography plays very important role. Okay, again, what are the various basic steps and what are the various devices which is used to find out the actual structure of a metal, which is related to the metallography in engineering metallurgy subject. So let us start with the metallography. See guys, what do you mean by metallography is? Metallography is the study of metals and alloys, primarily their structures. See guys, what it is? Metallography is the study of metals and alloys, primarily their structures. So in metallography, we are going to do study about the structure of the materials or alloys. Then second point is the application of metallography mainly includes observation, often via microscopy. Now what do you mean by microscopy is? Here I have written in bracket in different color. Microscopy means nothing but by using microscope. See guys, microscopy means nothing but by using microscope to determine the metal's chemical and atomic structure and the distribution of the components or the phases. See guys, the application of metallography is, what is the application of metallography? Application of metallography is the determine the metal's chemical and atomic structure and the distribution of the components or the phases with the help of microscope. Okay, which is a device which is used to see the microstructure of the material. Okay, so metallography means nothing but it is the study, or it is the branch of science which deals with the study of metal structure or atomic structure, okay, with the help of microscope. A microstructure. So we have seen just now in metallography definition that in metallography we are going to study about the microstructure or structure of the material. Okay, now so what do you mean by microstructure is? That should we know that what is meant by microstructure. Okay, is that clear for you that we are going to do study of microstructure, and the process of studying the microstructure is known as metallography. Now, but what is meant by microstructure is that also we should understand. Also see what do you mean by microstructure is. I am reading the arrangement of phases and defects. Please see guys, the arrangement of phases and defects within the metal is known as microstructure. See guys, what it is? The arrangement of phases and defects within the metal. So in metal itself, what kind of defects and phases has, to study that defects and phases which is hide within the metal is known as what? Microstructure. Okay, just by seeing externally we can't identify that phases and defects which is lies within the metal. That for that purpose we need to do metallography, or we need to do study about the microstructure. Okay, so the microstructure means what? The arrangement of phases and defects, how phases and defects are arranged inside the material or inside the metal. To the arrangement of that phases and defects is called microstructure. Then second point is, in simple words, microstructure is what we see under meteorological microscope on nanoside. Please see guys, this is again very simple. Microstructure is what we see under meteorological microscope. Okay, microstructure is nothing but the structure which we observe under the microscope, or if we are using microscope to see some microstructure, then whatever will be the observance of us is known as your microstructure. Okay, the next is microstructure determine chemical, physical and mechanical properties of metals and alloys. Please see guys, microstructure determines the chemical, physical and mechanical properties of the metals and alloys. Metals and alloys are polycrystalline, which we know very well. It consists of crystals in the form of grains. The size, shape and configuration of grain within a metal are a function of production process and application of metal in forces. See guys, this last sentence has a huge meaning. Please see, the size, shape and configuration of grain. Okay, whatever will be the size, shape and configuration of grains which are distributed inside the metal or within the metal are determines the production process. Which kind of production process can machine your material which is largely depend on your microstructure and application of the metal in forces. Okay, if you understood that, what I can try to tell you is, okay, so microstructure means what? It is the arrangement of phases and defects within the metal is known as microstructure. And one other simple definition for that is, microstructure is what we see under the microscope. Okay, microstructure is what we see under the microscope. Then next is, these are some images I bring to you for understanding the microstructure. When you see any component under microscopic lens, then how it will be look like. Okay, please see. If I am talking about microstructure of ductile cast iron, okay, you can see here microstructure of ductile cast iron. C for cast and I for iron. Microstructure for ductile cast iron. So see, if you observe the ductile cast iron under the microscope, then it will be look like this. Then microstructure for low carbon steel. Generally we are saying it to mild steel. Okay, now how it looks like that, microstructure of mild steel. Then microstructure of composite material. Now see how composite material looks under the microscope. You can see observe the image. Then microstructure of diamond. If you see diamond under microscope, then it will be look like that. Similarly, microstructure of glass. Simply glass is looking like this. This is which is an amorphous material. And microstructure for titanium. So guys, this slide I am bring to you some images of microscopic images of ductile cast iron, glass and all to understand that just outside or just by our naked eyes we are seeing the material, but we can't determine or we can't understand that how it will be look like actually within it or inside it. Then this is the some images of various common materials which you have seen. These materials are looking like that under microscope. Okay, then macrostructure. Now see, we have studied, we have understood about the definition of microstructure, and we have seen images also. Now the term which you see on your screen is macrostructure. Now macro, M-A-C-R-O, structure. So macrostructure means what? Microstructure means what? Please see. The gross structure of a material or tissue as visible to the unaided eye or at very low levels of magnification. Very easy to understand this language is. Please see guys. The gross structure of a material. Gross means overall structure of a material or tissue as visible to the unaided eye. Unaided eye means naked eyes. Simply eyes without having any kind of magnification lens and all. So without magnification lens, this meaning has unaided eye or at very low levels of magnification. Okay, whatever the structure that we are seeing by our naked eyes, that we are consider it macrostructure. Okay, the gross structure of a pure metal or alloy as revealed by the magnifications of 10x or less. Okay, so macrostructure is the structure which we seen just by our simple eyes with unaided eye without having any kind of magnification devices. Okay, now this is the slide which tells us about the difference between microstructure versus microstructure. Okay, microstructure versus macrostructure. Now see, what is the basic difference between microstructure and macrostructure? So many students are confused with that macrostructure is what and microstructure is what. So I think this content is helpful for you for identifying it. Please see, I am reading the meaning of microstructure. It is the fine structure of a material or tissue as revealed by microscopy. See guys, it is the fine structure of a material or tissue as revealed by microscopy. So it is written in red color. It can't visible by unaided eye. Please see, it can't visible by unaided eye. Okay, microstructure can't visible by unaided eye. For seeing microstructure, for observing microstructure, we need to go for microscopy, and microscopy means by using microscope. Okay, so it is clear, for seeing the microstructure we need to use the microscope, which is device which can produce high magnification images. Okay, and microstructure can't visible by unaided eye. For that we need to use microscope. I am reading now macrostructure. Now macrostructure means what? It is the gross structure of a material or tissue as visible to the unaided eye or at very low levels of magnification, which the structure which we can see by using simply by our eyes or unaided eye, and we no need to use any kind of magnification device for that, is known as microstructure. Then second point in microstructure is what? It is the fine structure of a pure metal or alloy as revealed by magnifications of 25x or greater. See guys, it is the fine structure of pure metal and alloy, but at what kind of magnifications? At 25x or greater magnifications. Okay, and macrostructure means what? It is the gross structure of pure metal or alloy as revealed by the magnifications of 10x or less. Okay, it requires only 10x magnifications, which we can see just by our simple eyes or unaided eye. Then it requires microscope. See guys, I have already told you that microstructure, to see microstructure we require microscope, and to see macrostructure it doesn't require microscope. Okay, it is very clear and it is very easy to understand that what do you mean by microstructure is and what do you mean by macrostructure is. I think this is helpful for you. Then see what next. Now microscopes. Okay, please see what do you mean by microscopes. I have already told you that for seeing microstructure we need to use microscope, and please see what do you mean by it is. Microscope are required for the examination of microstructure of the metal and alloy, isn't it? It is very easy. Microscope are required for the examination of microstructure of the metal and alloy. Okay, it is required for the examination of microstructure, means to determine the microstructure, that what kind of microstructure it has. Then next is, a microscope is an instrument or device capable of producing the magnified image of a small object. See guys, a microscope is an instrument or device capable of producing the magnified image of a small object. It is a device which is capable of producing magnified image, means zoom image. We can generally use the term zoom. Now, if you click on zoom button on your computer, then the image that you are seeing will be increased in its magnification. Okay, so that is what it is actually. The microscope is an instrument or device which is capable of producing magnified image of a small object, zooming image of a small object. Okay, here there are so many types of microscopes are there. Please see, some of these are optical microscopes, electronic microscopes, scanning probe microscopes, X-ray or ultrasonic microscopes. Okay, which are these microscopes? Please see, optical, electronic, scanning probe, X-ray or ultrasonic. So this is guys, this is all about the metallography, microstructure, macrostructure and microscope. Okay, all these are relevant terms with each other. That is why I have fixed sequence first, then I would explain each and everything to you. Please see, metallography means nothing but the study of metals and alloy, primarily with their structures. Okay, this is the process of studying the microstructure of the material. In this, we need to use microscope. Okay, now what do microstructure is? So microstructure means nothing but the arrangement of phases and defects within the metal. Okay, or in simple words, microstructure is what we see under the metallurgical microscope. Okay, then these are some magnified images of microstructure of some different common materials that we have seen. Then macrostructure. So macrostructure means what? That visible to our unaided eye is nothing but the macrostructure. This is the basic difference between microstructure and macrostructure that I have explained to you. And this is microscope. So it is nothing but the instrument or device which is capable of producing magnified image of a small object. Okay, and these are some types of microscope, which is optical, electronic, scanning probe and X-ray. So I think this content is useful to understand metallography, microstructure, microscope and macrostructure. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.